The decks this format are just too hard for me. I guess I can check my bulk box to see if there's anything worth playing. Oh, we are so back!
Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. Listen, it's been a rough week for me. Sometimes life pulls you in such a way that you just don't have any brain power left to devote to your hobbies. Thankfully, Konami heard my prayers and released an archetype that takes exactly 0 brain power to play. Presenting True Draco.
I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
So here's the list. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Despite what some Yu-Gi-Tubers who shall not be named would have you believe, the TCG is alive and well. And if you're looking to start your journey into paper, there's no better place to begin than Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. With up-to-the-minute reporting on every major tournament worldwide, searchable and interactable pie charts and deck lists, and all the bells and whistles you've come to expect from one of the best draft and collection management sites on the net, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the place to be. Check it out today at www.ygoprodeck.com. Now back to the video. With that, let's take a look at True Draco. True Draco is a deck whispered about among survivors of 2017 and early Master Duel events. It's an extra decklist douchebag of a strategy which wins games courtesy of 2 things. Firstly, its incredibly advantageous monsters and their ability to slot into a strategy full of draw spells, and secondly, floodgates. Previously one of the top choices for new players, this deck has thankfully been chased out of the metagame by decks that do more, and a Konami that seems less tolerant of their trap card shenaniganry. But somehow True Draco has returned. Empowered by 2 new pieces of support, MasterPeace 3 and Draco Awakening, alongside some others we're not playing, the gang is back in the glue aisle. Unfortunately, outside of their new Rota and boss monster, almost nothing has changed in this main deck for the better part of a decade. Sometimes nature just creates the perfect deck list. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First and foremost, the True Dracos. We've got 3 copies of Dynamite Knight, 2 copies of Ignis Heat, 1 copy of Majesty Maiden, 1 old MasterPeace, and 1 new MasterPeace, the True Drake Overlord. This card requires 3 tributes to normal summon. It can't be set, and to tribute summon this card face up, you contribute continuous spells and traps you control, as well as monsters. When your opponent activates a monster effect in the hand or field, and you control this tribute summoned monster, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the monster, once per turn of course. And if this tribute summoned card is destroyed by a battler or an opponent's card effect while it's in its owner's monster zone, your opponent skips their next main phase. Finally, we're on 2 copies of Amano Iwato because the rest of this deck is just a little too fair. 3 copies of Draco Awakening. When activated, can add a monster from your deck to your hand that is either a True Draco, a True King, a Draco Slayer Pendulum, or a Drake Overlord Pendulum. If a face-up True Draco or True King monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target one of them and put it in your spell trap zone as a face-up continuous spell. This is a great way to ensure that you always have the requisite amount of material to get out these big 3 tributes without probably having to walk over guys that are already on your field. We've got 3 copies of Dragonic Diagram, 3 Heritage, 2 Draco Phoenix, 3 Pot of Duality, 2 Desires, and a Card of Demise for traps. We're on 3 True Draco Apocalypse, 2 True King's Return, 3 The Monarch's Erupt, 2 Apophis the Swamp Deity, the only card that this deck has really added to the strategy in the last near decade, a Rivalry of Warlords, a Skill Drain, and a Teak-Boo. And the side, we're on Lava Golems, Inspector Borders evenly matched, Anti-Spell Fragrance is still legal for some reason, Solemn Strike, Solemn Judgment, and Solemn Scolding. So with that, let's check out some games. Our first match is up against Fiendsmith. Haven't you gotten the memo? We're all about sealing these days. One of the things I really like about Draco is its ability to go either first or second. You can see for game 1, we are on the draw as our opponent activates a Fiendsmith Engraver in order to grab a copy of Tract from deck to hand. They're going to follow it up with a Lacrima, sending another Engraver into a Fiendsmith's Requiem into a 3rd Engraver. Okay, no big deal. They can go Engraver here, shuffling 1 back in order to summon back the Engraver, and then activate Fiendsmith's Tract in order to cycle this copy of Lurie, summon it from their graveyard, and link up into a copy of Sequence. From here, they can activate the effect of the Sequence, and guess who's unbanned? They're going to go for a copy of Lacrima. They'll trigger the effect of the Lacrima, bringing back this Crimson Tears, and then afterwards, they can overlay for a Caesar and make a Silo Hat Rabbit. They'll set a copy of Azuroon and then pass on 2 hand traps plus 1 billion points of interaction. Well, luckily for us, we do not give a shit about Wave High King Caesar. We're going to use the effect of Ignis Heat in order to pop it. Then afterwards, we're going to fire off a Pot of Desires into an Ash, but of course, we get to activate the effect of the Ignis Heat in response. They'll bring out this copy of Fiendsmith's Requiem, but we are just going to go ahead and grab a Heritage as well. From this position, they're going to go for the Requiem and the Azuroon. The Azuroon here does actually do something because it can trigger the effect of the Silo Hat Rabbit to pop the Heritage. Okay, that's, not nothing. We can still Heritage the Azure Rune down, but let's just go to the battle phase and walk over the Lacrima and dare them to beat our Floodgates. First up is Rivalry of Warlords. They're going to begin with Fiendsmith's Tract. We'll just go ahead and set a card off of that. Afterwards, they're going to pitch a Lacrima and pass turn. Okay, from here we should just be able to wipe the floor with our opponent. We'll go for True Draco Phoenix here, tribute summon a copy of Dynamite Knight, and then walk over for 900 and also 1,000. We don't have an out to the Silhouette Rabbit, but that's good for us because we don't really want to get it off the board. Our opponent's going to scoop because they can't get it off either. Our second match is up against Maliss, and this really showcases just how effective a deck like this can be against an unprepared metagame. Look at the Bestial Magnamut. Look at the Dominus Impulse. They are going to do nothing this game. All right, we're going to begin by activating Draco Awakening. That's going to grab us a copy of Dynamite Knight. We'll follow it up with a Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix, and then a Pot of Desires in order to draw a couple of cards. Those are not bad ones. We'll go for Pot of Duality, finding off the top. I guess we'll take the Apocalypse. We're going to go for True Draco Heritage here. We're going to normal summon a Mono Awado, then we'll activate the effect of the Disciples in order to tribute summon this Dynamite Knight, which allows us to draw off the Heritage. We find a Teekboo, add back this copy of a Mono Awado, and pass it back to our opponent. Another Impulse, fantastic. They're going to begin with a copy of Allure. They will banish this copy of Chessie Cat, which summons it to their side of the field, and we'll activate There Can Be Only One. Good luck to them. They will Chessie here. We will chain the Monarch's Erupt. We are not going to let you get to an out. They'll tribute summon this copy of Magnema, then use the effect of March Hare in hand to bring it out, so they have, maybe 2 pieces of link material. Of course, it's not going to matter because we can use the effect of True Draco Apocalypse in the damage step in order to make the Magnamut smaller than our monster. Let's normal summon this copy of Amano. Of course, its effect is going to be negated, but no big deal. We just want to get the screws on. We'll pass back to our opponent. It is not going to return to hand because that also is an activated effect, and they're going to set 1 card and pass. Should be good to go from here, especially after ripping that off the top. We're going to go for Apophis. They do have a Dominus Impulse finally, but we have a Dynamite Knight as well, which means that we come out ahead in this exchange. We'll go to the battle phase and walk in for 25. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's on what else but Yummy Mitsurugi, and while I want to whine about this being the deck that we've played in the best of 3 for the past month, this is a fine strategy to be best deck in the room. Our opponent's going first. They're going to begin with a copy of Lollipo. They're going to link off for a copy of Yummy Snatchy, activate the effect in order to grab a Mignon. Then afterwards, they can activate the effect of the Mignon to bring back this Lollipo into a Cupsy Yummy way. That's going to get them everything they need. They're going to pitch this copy of Pre-Prep because they have the mirror in hand. Then they'll go for Cupsy Yummy. Afterwards, they're going to fire off the Marshmo Yummy, summoning it from their hand to go into a Shien Samsara Sarocat into the Herald line. They're going to go Herald for Habakiri as they make a gravity controller in the EMZ. They'll tribute the Saji, trigger the effect of the Saji, grab a copy of Ritual, then fire off the Ritual to do the effect to summon from deck. They'll go for Murakumo here, triggering the Habakiri. Then afterwards, they can activate the effect of the Sarocat, shuffling back this copy of Herald as they go back into it, courtesy of Cookie. They're going to go for the Surprise here, bringing back Marshmo, trigger the effect of Marshmo finally to cycle back the Surprise, and make a copy of Lollipo Yummy Way to Soul Charge. From here, they can link off into an IP Masquerena, go for the Mirror in order to bring back the Habakiri, trigger the effect of the Murakumo in Graveyard, summoning it to their side of the field, sending a couple of cards, including a copy of Prayers, and passing back to us. We'll lead a Mono Awado, which is crazy. We'll go for Draco Heritage afterwards. That's going to grab us a True Draco or True King summoned to our side of the field. We'll get rid of the monsters that plague our life, and then we will return this Mono Awado to hand. Our opponent's going to go for Prayers. We'll go for Dynamite Knight. They will go for the Reborn effect, and after Point of Resolution, we have the True Draco Apocalypse on our side of the field, but they have a million monsters on theirs. We will True Draco Apocalypse, popping the card that we know is going to be popped by the Cookie Yummy. We will decrease the attack of our opponent's monsters. They will make us pay for it, but we have got so many monsters in hand, I don't think it matters. Our opponent's going to go for the effect of Yummy Surprise in order to clear the board. They will chain both Snatchy and Murakumo to deplete our hand further, and we do get to sit on a Masterpiece. I mean, I feel okay about that, but unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to be enough of a win con to prevent our opponent from popping off. As they go for the Prayers here, we just scoop them up. Always frustrating when you have to go for the Spell Trap Immune Masterpiece. For game 2, you are just not going to see any Yu-Gi-Oh! At all, I'm sorry. We're going to begin with Dragonic Diagram, which is immediately contested by the Ash Blossom, and, I mean, you and I both know what the game plan is after that. Alright. We'll pass back to our opponent. They'll draw for turn. They're going to go for Prayers. We'll flip Anti-Spell Fragrance, and then afterwards they are going to grab a Habakiri. From here, they can trigger the effect of the Saji in order to grab a card they can't activate yet. They're going to go for Cookie Yummy into Yummy Snatchy. They'll trigger the effect of the Yummy Snatchy into a Skill Drain, and boy, isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Fun. They'll go to the battle phase, hit us for 8 hundo, and then set a card and pass turn. Well, we figured that's the Ritual, so let's just go ahead and go for Dragonic Diagram. We will pop our Draco Phoenix, use the effect to contest the Ritual, then tribute summon a copy of Dynamite Knight. We will get in for 28, and I don't think anything in their deck can contest this board state. They'll draw for turn, it's another Habakiri, and they'll scoop it up. So it's time for that all-important game 3, and hey, Anti-Spell! Solemn warning, those are my cards! Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Preparation of Rites. They're going to go for Marshmallow Yummy afterwards, summoning it to their side of the field into a Yummy Snatchy, triggering the effect of the Yummy Snatchy for a Mignon, then activating the Mignon to bring back the Marshmallow. From here, they can make a copy of Cupsy Yummy Way, just getting them everything they need, and then special summoning out a Cupsy in order to add from deck to hand a copy of Surprise. From here, they're going to go for Habakiri, summoning the Saji, and then immediately tributing it so they can grab a copy of the Ritual Spell from their deck to their hand, into a Cookie Yummy, into a Yummy Snatchy, into a Lollipo Yummy Way to Soul Charge. From this position, they're going to be able to make a Sorrow Cat, Ritual out in order to summon this copy of Murakumo, and then trigger the effect of the Habakiri in order to grab, oh my god, they're playing the trap too. Herald comes down, also Mirror comes down, so down comes Habakiri and Murakumo, and they're just going to go ahead and activate Yummy Surprise in order to special Yummy here the Marshmallow, triggering its effect to cycle back the Yummy Surprise, setting 3 and making a Masquerena. Okay, well, when they flip Anti-Spell, I realize the game is over. We could theoretically tribute over a Spell Trap in order to contest the Anti-Spell, but we don't have a Spell Trap, so they're going to contest our Ignis Heat. We will go ahead and discard a card so our thing resolves. Let's just set 3 and scoop them. So we're back with the deck, and honestly, I'm just shocked the games were competitive at all. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, it's still true Draco. Decks are still unequipped to deal with multiple floodgates, to adapt their game plans to the way true Draco plays, and to contest field spells. 2, the new Rhoda is insane. This deck was never bricky, but it was always sort of carried by the availability of its draw spells. Now you can actually see the cards you put into the deck with relative consistency. And 3, it's very forgiving. This deck's all about sequencing. Once the cards are on the table, you can play like a bonobo. And the cons. 1, it's still true Draco. It folds to spell Trap Hate. A well-timed Ash on a pot can end the turn, and don't get me started on Droll. 2, the new MasterPeace actually sucks ass. It's a huge investment for like 1 monster negate in a deck packing more removal than Sky Striker. And 3, you just play so little Yu-Gi-Oh! Here. This is an issue I always had with players recommending this deck to new gamers. You might win a lot, but I usually play games to have fun. All in all, I'm happy to announce that this shit sucks. See you next week. So that's that. Thanks so much for watching. These 10-minute testings are made possible by, and occasionally suggested by, my patrons, some of whom have paid a lot of money to be mentioned at the end of this video. Those are Elena Tincher, Allison Elliott, Ally, APK Pearly Tier 0, Brett Henry, Cool Name, Damon O'Neill, Dark Rebel XYZ, DJ Elefante, El Gravo, El Secert, Emiliano Deverio, NB Adams, Fabrizio Petroli, Felix, Franco Romero, Garrett Duran, Hergalicious, I paid $15 for MBT to say this really long name at the end of the video, John Paradise, Night Mary, Cole Offline, Loriano Cortez, Legal Rights, Lucas Rosas, Luis Hernandez, MasterKey 090, Matthew M. Derezo, MBT Hablando en Español, MBT Play Madolce, Mike Carlotti, N54 Lionheart, Nacho Gonzalez, Pombo, Project Mercury, Pyramid, Artisan Field Cloths, TCG Accessories, Rancer My Thing, Rohan Doge, Rose Lapine, Serpentax, Shifter.mp8, Sly Ninja 43, Troy Says By Erasure is Gay, Who's Nick, Yuki Kazami, and Zircon Sun. Couldn't have done it without you.